Hello and welcome back to BSO Rugby, and the Six Nations is finally here, and we have a bumper weekend of fixtures to get the tournament underway. And the biggest one, without doubt, is Scotland against England at Murrayfield on the Saturday night. It's going to be a huge clash, and the 151st clash between the two sides. What a day this is going to be. As always, because it's such a big game, here is my preview alongside my good friend Dan from Stuck in the Scrum ahead of this game. We had a great chat about where Scotland were at coming into this game. England as well, took a look at the two teams picked and how we thought the game was going to be won and lost. Just before we get into the preview, just to let you know that I'll be doing a watch along for this game tomorrow night. It's a great opportunity for fans to come together and watch the game together as a great rugby community. We will be going live at 4:30 with kickoff at 4:45. Make sure to hit the reminder on the stream. There'll be a link in the comments down below and also in the I button. Hit the reminder and you'll be notified when we go live. Also, please do hit the subscribe button. We've got so much content coming out over the next few weeks with the Six Nations. Leave a like and get your predictions in the comments down below. I'm eager to see how you think this game is going to go. Without further ado, though, here's the preview. Enjoy. If we have a look at the last 5 games, just to get an idea of where both teams are at, of course, you can't take form into context. This is the first game of the competition. Last year, Scotland won in Twickenham for the first time in 27 odd years, 11 points to 6. Again, not a reflection of the game at all. Scotland was so dominant in that one. The game before that at Murrayfield, England getting a win, and Ellis Genge try winning that one, 13 points to 6. And then the famous game in 2019 at Twickenham, 38 points to 38. Finn Russell, absolute magician in that game. Back in 2018 at Murrayfield, Scotland won that one by 25 points to 13. And then, sorry to remind you about 2017, but England winning that one by 61 points to 21. So on the whole, it's been fairly equal. And it seems that, as you mentioned when we were doing the Scotland deep dive a few days ago, it seems that the home team tend to have the advantage. First of all, let's talk about Murrayfield being a factor, because it will be a factor. It's going to be a full house at Murrayfield. So with this game, obviously Murrayfield, full stadium, you're going to be there. I'm sure everyone will be able to hear you sing Flower of Scotland. I'm sure I'll hear you on the TV. But how big of an impact do you think it's going to have on this game, the fact that we are going to have crowds and that Murrayfield's going to be full, it's going to be dark, but there's going to be an atmosphere there? How do you think this could affect Scotland? And do you think it could unnerve England?
I think it could be huge. I mean, the energy back is massive. Scotland have always played better at home with crowds. I mean, it used to be a fortress. They'd hardly lose a game at home when they had crowds. And the second you took them away, they lost two at home. Most of the Scotland boys that are in there, they're quite experienced. They've played a lot of international rugby. They're all getting to about the peak of their careers now. I don't think it'll unnerve them a bit. I'd like to see if people like Marcus Smith would hold up in Murrayfield, because, I mean, there are some Scots that will give them, some poisonous abuse. I'm not that I condone it at all, but it's going to be there. He's going to get dogs abuse, and it's going to be so loud. And he plays in Twickenham at home, but that's his own crowd. He's never gone away to a stadium that big, that noisy, the Scottish elements, and some big men looking to snap him in half. So I'd like to see how some of the English boys, especially some of the less experienced ones that, Eddie Jones has had really no choice but to play them, how they hold up in this.
This is the Scotland team that has been picked by Gregor Townsend ahead of this match. So we'll go from the fullback. Stuart Hogg is at fullback as captain, of course, with Darcy Graham, and Duan van der Merwe is fit for this game. There was concerns about his health, whether he'd be available, but he is. Chris Harris partners Sam Johnson in the middle of the park, with Finn Russell as a vice-captain alongside Ali Price, continuing that half-back partnership. In the front row, Rory Sutherland, George Turner and Xander Fagerson. In the locks, you have Johnny Gray playing alongside Grant Gilchrist, and the back row is Jamie Ritchie, Hamish Watson and Matt Fagerson. Leaving a bench then of Stuart McInally, Sam Skinner, Pierre Schumann, WP Nell, Magnus Bradbury, Ben White, Blair Kinghorn and Sione Tupulotu. Your thoughts on that team, Dan? What was your initial reaction? Because you told me before you were going through a few ups and downs with the team.
Yeah. I mean, First of all, there were some people like Tupelotu that I was really angry wasn't in the side. I thought Magnus Bradbury should have gotten a chance because I think he's been on better form than Fagerson. But we know that Fagerson's played well for Townsend in the past. But look, it's a strong side. Look at there's 8 Lions in that squad, and the ones that aren't Lions. I mean, George Turner, he's been on incredible form, even on the European stage recently. Johnny Gray, we know what he can do. Grant Gilchrist has been amazing at the set pieces for Edinburgh this year. Jamie Ritchie, since I'd say since the season's begun, really, he has upped his form to an unbelievable standard of rugby. Like, if he was playing like this last year, he would have been on the line. Eddie Jones has said that when England come up, they're going to go after us. They're going to try play fast and loose, and they're going to try break us down. And seeing this team, the first thing that strikes me is Scotland are going to think, look, this is the way we played for years. They know this game plan better than England do. They're at their own home turf. They know how they're going to play. And when you look at the bench, I see Stuart McInally, Sam Skinner, Peter Schumann, Marcus Bradbury, Kinghorn, Sione Tulopu, those guys in particular, right? I think that you'll probably see about after the 60th minute mark when legs start to get tired, like just physically, all the heavier men are on the bench. So I think that Scotland, I'd expect them in the first half, in the first 20 minutes of the second half, to play super fast rugby, and they're going to try wear the English out. This is just me guessing now. And with the people with the weight of like Pierre Schumann, for instance, when he comes on, Magnus Bradbury, the beast of a man. Even Kinghorn to come on, I'd probably expect him to come on for Darcy Graham, maybe even Finn Russell, depending on how the score's going. Sione's going to come on at 12. Big man, big, fast, strong guy. And I think once they get to that stage, and this fairly inexperienced English pack is going to have to work really hard to contain Scotland. And if they do manage to contain Scotland, they're going to be shattered. And this is when Townsend is going to bring on his big men.
Let's move on to have a look at the English. This is how they line up. Of course, lots of injuries for them. Owen Farrell is out for the whole tournament. Courtney Laws and Johnny Hill are ruled out for this game. Johnny May's out for a few games. So let's go through it. Anyway, Freddie Stewart starts off fullback. Joe Marchant is on the wing alongside Max Meddings. There were question marks over Marchant. He did contract the virus, but he seems to have got the all clear now. Henry Slade partners Elliot Daly in the centre. Ben Youngs gets the nod with Marcus Smith. Of course, there's a lot of talk about Marcus Smith in the minute, and rightly so. He's an incredible talent. In the front row, Ellis Genge partners Luke Cowan-Dickey with Kyle Sinclair. Maro Itoje plays alongside Nick Isiku. I think that's how you say it. Sorry. Lewis Ludlam plays alongside Tom Curry, who's the captain, and Sam Simmons gets the nod at number 8, leaving a bench then of Jamie George, Joe Marler, Will Stewart, Charlie Eels, Alex Don Brandt, Harry Randall, George Ford, and Jack Noel. Looking at that, from a Scottish perspective, what do you make of the team, and what are the areas that would potentially concern you from that side?
Their bench. I mean, I look at Jack Noel and Marler sitting on the bench, and just to have that power to bring on, rather, if things are going well or if things aren't going well, is a dangerous weapon for England to have. Sam Simmons puts the absolute fear of God in me. The guy is incredible. I think he's not as big as some of his traditional 8s, but I think that's what works for him. He's got lower centre of gravity, big ball of muscle. It's like a little pit bull. So quick, so hard to stop. So as threats, I mean, they're going to be my biggest sort of ones. Maybe Marcus Smith. And I don't want to sound disrespectful towards Marcus Smith, because I do think he's an incredible player. And a lot of English fans are getting really excited about him. But the way I tried to describe him is probably what Finn Russell was like 3 or 4 seasons ago when he was a younger man. Very similar styles of play. And look, I've been there. I know how easy it is to get on the hype train. But with Marcus Smith, I expect him to make some fantastic plays. I expect him to make some howlers. If for any English fans that are watching this, I'm just going to say during this year, take it easy on him. If he does make a couple of mistakes, you're going to have to give the lad about 2 seasons before he gets that consistency. 2 seasons at an international level. I mean, go and look at the other ones. Lewis Ludlam, after he got COVID, yes, he's back in the side. But is he really 100%? I mean, international rugby is played at such high margins where if his lung capacity is 97% or 98% of what it usually is, if that can be enough just to take the edge off, I think Daly's been on a horrible form at the moment. I mean, he's a good player, but they're finally playing him in his right position, though. Ben Young's, I'm not a fan. He's never done it for me. And
yeah, it's an interesting one with the England squad, isn't it? And yeah, there are a few areas obviously where they'd want to have been stronger. I do think Marcus Smith is a massive talent. He's a very exciting player. And the big thing for me with him is that he showed that he does have bottle in the big moments against South Africa last autumn. But has he faced the Murrayfield crowd yet? We'll wait and see. But let's talk about yeah, let's talk about some of the big battles. The obvious one, of course, is these two, Finn Russell against Marcus Smith. You mentioned that you feel like Marcus Smith is maybe 3 seasons behind where Finn Russell is at the minute. But going into this game, how much do you think Finn will look to control the game? Do you think it'd be more about him expressing himself, or do you think it'd be about him trying to marshal his troops around him?
I think the weather's going to have a big part to play on it, if I have to be honest. I mean, if we do get a drier game, I think he'll throw it about a little bit more. I think the 50-22 rule is going to be interesting. I fully expect between Hogg, Russell and Price to utilise that a lot. I think he might try to take advantage of some of Marcus Smith's naivety. It's not that Smith doesn't have the natural talent, he does, but again, Finn Russell's been where Marcus Smith is. In that sort of head-to-head battle, I'd fully be backing Finn Russell.
Big battle I thought would be really interesting, and I'm not sure which way I see this one going. It is this battle between the back row options for both teams. So for the Scots, of course, you got Ferguson at 8. You then have Ritchie and Hamish Watson. And then for England, you have Simmons, who has been on incredible form and finally seems to have changed Eddie Jones's mind and persuaded him to play him. Tom Curry, of course, is captain, one of the turnover kings in the Premiership and in Europe this season. And then Lewis Ludlam down at Northampton. This could be a really interesting battle, couldn't it? Because we know what Scotland want to do. They want to get quick ball. They want to be able to get it out to the likes of Finn Russell, Darcy Graham. If Tupelotu comes off the bench, get it into their hands to have the impact. They need to get that quick ball. Yeah. How do you see that battle going? Because that's going to be a really fascinating one, isn't it?
On a knife edge. I think that when it comes to the number 8 battle, Sam Simmons is got the best of Matt Ferguson. If I had to weigh them up, which one I'd rather have Simmons. He's a line. He's one of the best number 8s on the planet. Ferguson is good. Ferguson's a couple of years younger than him. I can use this reverse argument that I use for Marcus Smith when it comes to him. Tom Curry, again, huge player for England. There's always arguing who's better, him or Hamish Watson, and I mean, you're going to have to wait and see, aren't you?
Focus on Scotland quickly then before we go to predictions. How are Scotland going to approach this game? What's the play style going to be?
I wouldn't say dominance, because I think, I hate to say this, I mean, Eddie Jones was mind games today saying, oh, Scotland are red hot favourites. I mean, to the rugby casual, it may not appear that way, but I think to people that follow rugby very closely, in reality, Scotland probably are, and probably for the first time in a long time. I know Gregor's trying to take the pressure off his players by saying they're not, but yeah, Scotland need to win this, and if they're going to challenge and actually be competitive in the Six Nations, it's a game they need to win. And doing it against England's never an easy task. But no, I think Scotland have to play their own game. They can't adapt their game to play how they think England are going to try play. They try to adapt their game to suit other styles in the autumn. And they came away with 3 wins out of 4, but I don't think they played particularly well. So I think that Scotland has to play their own plan. They have to play loose and fast. England are the less experienced side out of the two. Make England have to adapt to your game, not the other way around.
I think from an English perspective, I'm not English. That sounded really weird. If I was English, the way I'd want this team to play, I'd want us to go in that first 20 minutes, settle the crowd down straight away. You've got to do that. It's so important that you go then in the first 20 minutes, you put in those big hits, you win those collisions. I think England would want to dominate the ball, but that would then concern me about the way that Scotland on the counter-attack can use the likes of Hogg, can use the likes of Finn Russell. Darcy Graham is electric as well. And the way England traditionally would have looked to play was by being physical. I do think they will still look to be like that, although I just don't think with all the injuries that they've got that they're quite at the level. I think someone like a Courtney Lawes is a huge loss just because of the physicality that he brings, the option in the line out that he brings. England would have looked to rely on their set piece. I know that was something that was a bit of an issue for Scotland during the autumn. But as you said, I do think Scotland are favourites, and I do think they should win this game. So score predictions. What are you saying? Scotland by how much? 25 points?
No, that much is not. I mean, as much as I could dream about the 60-20 reverse, it's not going to happen. I'm probably going to see Scotland anywhere between 7-8 points. 7-8 points.
For me, I'm also gonna back Scotland to win, but I do think that first 20 minutes is really important. I think Scotland need to be confident, but they need to be sensible at the same time. Early on, just get the scoreboard going. If you get a chance to take a penalty, just take it. Don't think we've got to go to the corner. I know that's the way you want to play, but just play sensible. Just take the points when you get the chance to take the points. So I'm going to go for a scoreline of 25-17 to Scotland. I think it'll be fairly comfortable. I do think it'll be fairly comfortable. I think it'll be tight, but I think, as you said, I think the bench of Scotland and just the fact that they're at home, first game, crowds are back. I just think that Scotland are going to have too much. I'm going to say 25-18. Can I have a score prediction from you?
Oh, so you're also going by 7 or 8 points?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be a higher scoring game. I'm going to go with 32-25.
So there we go. That's my preview ahead of Scotland against England. Thank you very much to Dan for jumping on once again. Dan is actually going to watch the game. Very lucky indeed. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, comment your predictions down below, and don't forget to join me for the watch along. As I said, 4:30 we'll go live. Kick off at 4:45. There'll be a link in the comments down below. Do hit that link. It'll send you a reminder to be notified of when we go live. And of course, hit the subscribe button. Enjoy the weekend of rugby. There's so much to look forward to. I'll see you soon here on BS Rugby. Peace.